Why is corruption in Christian leadership so rampant in America? Occupying Till He Comes at Southwest Prophecy Ministries.
Welcome, friends. This is Dane Rome, your announcer for today's Last Days Beacon program. Thanks for listening, and thank you for joining us. And just a reminder that these programs are supported by your gifts to this ministry. If you would like to contribute to this ongoing faith ministry, which deals with Bible prophecy and current events, simply go to our website to contribute. Our website address is www.swpm.us. You'll find a donate link on the homepage. The website address again is www.swpm.us. Thank you for your prayers and support for this faith ministry. Well, on today's program, Dr. Snitker talks about his brand new book entitled Corruption in Christian Leadership. The book is subtitled An Expose and Analysis of Corruption in the Leadership of American Churches and Christian Organizations. This book shines the spotlight on people who profane the Lord's work and afflict the Lord's people. While they're not in the majority within evangelicalism, they are far too many, and they exert far too much influence. This book deals with biblical examples of corrupt leaders, as well as the findings of sociological studies regarding Christian leadership. The purpose of this book is to help you identify and respond wisely to corrupt leadership that may exist in your church or Christian organization. Also, if you've been harmed by such leaders in the past, this book will aid your discernment and healing. Let's join Dr. Snitker as he discusses corruption in Christian leadership.
Thank you, Dane. Welcome, friends, to another Last Days Beacon podcast. I am gratified by the increasing number of people who view our weekly podcasts. We provide these free of charge to help equip you as an end-time saint. Today we begin a series of broadcasts that deal with content in my brand new book entitled Corruption in Christian Leadership. The book is subtitled An Expose and Analysis of Corruption in the Leadership of American Churches and Christian Organizations. This book is based upon my over 40 years in full-time vocational service in Christian ministry, both in the pastorate and in parachurch ministry. This is a book that I did not want to write, but felt compelled to do so. It contains information that I was never taught in Bible college or seminary, but information I wish I had been taught. I am sharing it to help those who are either in Christian service as an employee of the church or a Christian organization. It is also written to church-going Christians, because there will probably come a time when you will be exposed to corrupt leadership in your church. This book will help you to understand the kind of person or persons that you are dealing with and how to deal with them. In these podcasts, I'm going to answer several questions dealing with the unpleasant topic of corruption in Christian leadership. The questions I'm going to deal with today are, why did I write this book? And does the Bible speak about corrupt religious leaders? The first question is, why did I write this book? Well, let me begin by sharing a personal word as to why I wrote this book. This book arose primarily because of my personal experience in Christian ministry. I was saved at age 14 and worked in secular employment for many years before becoming involved vocationally in Christian service. My experience in secular work was primarily a positive one. My superiors were generally affirming, pleasant, and ethical. It was therefore a surprise to me when I became involved in, quote, Christian work, to find that there were some really unscrupulous and nasty people in the leadership of many churches and Christian organizations. These were people who apparently thought nothing about lying, stealing, character assassination, harassment, and intimidation. My surprise was compounded when I rarely saw any kind of negative career consequences accrue from this kind of behavior. These leaders were generally able to avoid consequences, either because of their religious demeanor, their charismatic personalities, or because of the group of enablers with whom they had surrounded themselves. So when I began to experience mistreatment by these leaders, I initially thought that I must have done something to deserve this kind of treatment, either in terms of character flaws on my part or God's chastisement. Then I began to see other employees or parishioners experience this same kind of treatment from these people. I saw good people hurt really badly, both emotionally and vocationally, by these so-called Christian leaders. And if they tried to do anything about the corruption in leadership they experienced, they were labeled as troublemakers, or worse, and were fired or driven from the organization by continual harassment and slander. These victims were then blackballed and found it difficult to gain employment elsewhere. I found it puzzling that what I had experienced in Christian service was much worse than I ever experienced in secular work. As I have associated with other people in the Lord's work through the years, I have found that I am not alone in my experience. In fact, I know of some truly godly and ethical men who will probably never be able to find another job in the pastorate again, because they stood up against sociopathic or narcissistic leaders and have been blackballed as a result. Meanwhile, these so-called leaders continued to climb the ladder of ministerial success. I also know of parishioners who have not only been kicked out of churches because they have taken a stand for truth and against evil, but these same people have also been served with restraining orders that prohibited them from stepping foot on the property of churches they attended, supported, and served in for years. They are robbed of fellowship with friends or family members who attend their former church. Let me make it clear that I'm not talking about cults like the Mormons or Amish who practice shunning. I'm talking about evangelical churches who preach that God so loved the world, but yet actively seek to destroy those who resist their wicked leadership. As I have seen this kind of behavior by some Christian leaders in just about every ministry where I have served, it led me to ponder, how can this be? Why do the worst kinds of people often end up in Christian leadership? What should I do when I discover that the church or Christian organization I am involved in has been taken over by corrupt leadership? It is my hope that this book will answer this and other questions. The second question I'd like to deal with today is this: does the Bible speak about corrupt religious leaders? And the answer is yes. The Bible speaks about such individuals, both the Old and the New Testament. In the Old Testament, they are known as the false shepherds of Israel. We read in Ezekiel 34, verses 2 through 5, "Son of man, prophesy against the shepherds of Israel. Prophesy and say unto them, Thus saith the Lord God unto the shepherds, Woe be to the shepherds of Israel that do feed themselves. Should not the shepherds feed the flocks? Ye eat the fat, and ye clothe you with the wool. Ye kill them that are fed, but you feed not the flock. The diseased have you not strengthened, neither have you healed that which was sick. Neither have you bound up that which was broken. Neither have you brought again that which was driven away. Neither have you sought that which was lost. But with force and with cruelty you have ruled them. And they were scattered because there is no shepherd. And they became meat to all the beasts of the field when they were scattered. End of quote from Ezekiel 34. In the New Testament, corrupt religious leaders are called hirelings. Jesus spoke of them in John chapter 10, verses 10 through 14. The thief cometh not but for to steal and to kill and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd giveth his life for the sheep. But he that is an hireling, and not the shepherd, whose own the sheep are not, seeth the wolf cometh, and leaveth the sheep, and fleeth. And the wolf catcheth them, and scattereth the sheep. The hireling fleeth, because he is an hireling, and careth not for the sheep. I am the good shepherd, and know my sheep, and have known of mine. In this passage, Jesus makes some contrasts. In verse 10, Jesus refers to the devil as the thief who kills and destroys. By contrast, Jesus claims to be the one who brings life, and life more abundantly. He then presents himself as the good shepherd who gives his life for the sheep, in contrast to the hireling who flees at the first sign of danger because he does not care for the sheep. By contrast, Jesus knows his sheep and cares for them, even to the point of laying down his life for them. Notice the common effect of both the false shepherds of Israel in the Old Testament and the hirelings of the New Testament. The sheep are scattered and defenseless. In other words, because of the selfishness and faithlessness of these corrupt religious leaders, the sheep are put at great risk. I think we've reached a good stopping point today, my friends. On the next podcast, I will continue to answer questions regarding corruption in Christian leadership. I hope you will join me. And now our announcer, Dane Rome, will share how you may obtain a copy of my latest book.
Thank you, Dr. Schnitker. Today, we're offering a brand new book by Dr. Schnitker entitled Corruption in Christian Leadership. The 70-page book is full of information that will help you identify and respond wisely to corrupt leadership that may exist in your church or Christian organization. Also, if you've been harmed by such leaders in the past, this book will aid your discernment and healing. You may order this book by going to our website, www.swpm.us, and typing Corruption in Christian Leadership in the bookstore link. This book is available for a gift of $4.99 plus shipping. The website address again is www.swpm.us, and the name of the book is Corruption in Christian Leadership, available for your offering of $4.99 plus shipping. Well, friends, thank you for joining us for today's podcast. We look forward to seeing you next week for another Last Days Beacon program brought to you by Southwest Prophecy Ministries. Until then, this is your announcer, Dane Rome. Thanks for listening.